A very good morning to all of you and welcome to the session, the Hindu editorial analysis for proficiency in English. As usual, let us start with the snippets. What is the first one? Congress on Uddhav Raj ties. You all know the word ties. Here, relationship. India bloc will decide on alliance partner. Alliance, when two or three parties join hands, we use the word alliance. When they form the government, we use the word coalition government. I'm sure you all know this also. Coming to the next snippet, brazen heist. Brazen. Brazen means open, deliberate, intentional, and something not acceptable. It has a negative connotation. And heist. How do you pronounce this? Heist means a robbery involving high stakes. Imagine someone tries to take very expensive stuff using force or illegally. That is known as heist, an important word. Thieves hack into Lowry, steal French crown jewels, and hack into. This goes with IT field. And British English, we use words like thief, theft. American English, burglary, burglary. Burglar means a thief, and burglary means a theft. These are all very important words you have to remember. Coming to astronomy, you can see sun, moon, sun's impact. Impact means effect. Effect you have to recollect. Chandrayaan 2 makes observation of moon. Makes observation of moon. You have to read that because India is doing extremely well. Any article related to space technology you have to read and develop contextual awareness, lexical terms, word combinations. Coming to the next one, data point, record arrests, surrenders, dent Maoist network. There is one important word here, dent. Dent actually goes with vessels, dishes, cars also. Imagine a flat surface, it goes down, concave shape. Then we use the word dent. Dent, another meaning, make a negative impact on something. To weaken something. Something becomes weak, it makes a negative impact, then we use the word dent. Record arrests, surrenders, dent Maoist network. Geographic spread of insurgency has reduced. Insurgency, opposing the government, and usually with weapons, we use the word insurgency, trying to oppose the government or the current regime. And usually it goes with, you have to recollect words like militants, a revolt, revolution, insurgency, all these words you have to recollect. Coming to the next one, it goes with cricket. I'm sure all of you know taking the lead. And let me tell you at the outset, today the Hindu newspaper not published because yesterday was Diwali, it was a public holiday. Based on that, today no edition of the Hindu paper. The front page here you see yesterday's paper. Editorial analysis I'm going to do for the first time differently, entirely different. And usually when it comes to reading, there are two levels. One is lower level comprehension point of view, higher level analysis point of view. Today I'm going to present from analysis point of view, and that will be useful from mains point of view. So try to listen to the editorial, completely new approach. I'm not going to read out the editorial. I will not show you the editorial also. It is a new approach, and after the session, give the feedback. And Australia cruises. Usually, the word cruise means sail smoothly, but the word cruise goes with large passenger ships. We use the word ships, passenger ships. We use the word cruise. Cruises, important word. Cruises past India in the first ODI. Go past means cross someone. That is also an important expression you guys have to know. That's all from the snippets. Now let us go to the main news headlines. Here we have Pakistan, Afghanistan signed truce agreement in Doha. You all know the word truce. What are the words you have to recollect? Yes, ship cruise, that's right. And ship wreckage, turn turtle, turn upside down, capsize. All these words you have to recollect based on ships. Coming to truce, peace, armistice, offer an olive branch, bury the hatchet. All these you have to recollect. And it's about truce between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Coming to the one over here, you can see into the Periyar. Periyar is a river. Before the name of any river, we have to use a definite article, the. With water levels nearing full capacity, surplus means excess, is being released from the Mulla Periyar Dam in Idukki, Kerala. Monsoon wreaks havoc, an important expression. Many of our students know what is the meaning of wreak havoc. Means cause devastating impact. Cause damage on a large scale, we use the expression wreak havoc. An important expression, idiom, they have given many a time. Monsoon wreaks havoc in Idukki, Theni. More water released from Mulla Periyar. Other words are easy. Coming to the other snippets this side, we have Maharashtra rolls have nearly 96 lakh fake voters. And here it goes with the elections polity, a statement given by Raj Thackeray. He has criticized, he has alleged, it seems in Maharashtra, 96 lakh fake voters are there. That is a big number. SC's conversion ruling opens the door to reviews. Supreme Court must have given a judgment based on conversion, and based on that, debates, reviews, discussions. Simple words, nothing to learn as such. Karnataka denies RSS permit to conduct march. Here, deny means to say no or to refuse. But there is one important word, conduct. As a verb, we pronounce as conduct. Means what? To organize, to execute, to do, to implement. But it can be an adjective, it can be a noun. Then the pronunciation changes. We say conduct. You all know when you leave the college, you have to take two certificates. One is a TC, transfer certificate, the other one CC, conduct certificate. Means all about your behavior, goes with one's behavior. Coming to this is what I was talking about. There will be no issue of the Hindu dated October 21st, 2025, as Deepavali is a holiday. And coming to the pic, beautiful pic, colorful pic, illuminated. Happy Diwali, big party. The Ayodhya skyline is lit up by a massive fireworks display for Deepotsav on Sunday. Skyline. Usually it goes with skyscrapers. When you go to Western countries, you see skyscrapers, a common feature. And for that, we use the word the skyline of New York, the skyline of Chicago. But here it means something like the sky, how it is illuminated and lit up, light, lit, lit. Light can be a noun, can be a verb. By massive means large scale fireworks display for Deepotsav on Sunday. Coming to the next one, Israelis allege violation of ceasefire, launch new attacks in Gaza. You all know there has been a sort of truce between Hamas and Israel, and now Israel says they have violated the ceasefire. Based on that, they have started re-attacking the region, Gaza region. A development, new development. That's all from today's front page of the Hindu paper. Let us go to today's editorial. As I said, today you have to listen to the editorial analysis. Usually what happens, many students, they don't listen to the analysis. I would like to repeat, many. And they prefer more the vocab part and the mini mocks. But in my opinion, it is this part which is very important, editorial analysis, because when it comes to mains, it is all about analytical reading. It is all about a reading comprehension skill. When you listen to the editorial analysis, you get an idea how it has to be read. Now let us see the vocabulary part first. Sashi, I am not able to see the comments. Please delete that. Thank you. Coming to this is the enrichment, but the words norms we have got many a time. Part of speech, noun. What does it mean? Norm singular, norms plural. Standard, standards or rules. Accepted rules or standards. Citizens must follow safety norms during pollution season. Safety norms are a must during the pollution season. That's what the sentence says. Coming to the next word, an important word, caveat. Part of speech, noun. A condition or a warning. The permission came with a caveat of limited use, means a warning of, a condition of. Noxious goes with fumes, gases, and smoke. Adjective, harmful or poisonous. Noxious gases fill the air after the fireworks. That is inevitable. Deploy, I have told many a time, it goes with police, army. Whenever there's a disturbance in a city, the police are deployed, the army is deployed. Means take position. To use a position strategically. Drones were deployed to monitor illegal burning. Spike, surge both mean the same, can be a noun, can be a verb. Sudden, sharp increase or rise. Pollution levels spiked after Diwali night. Again, inevitable, but only one day phenomenon. We have other factors which cause a lot of pollution around the clock and 365 days. Effulgent, a new word we have got for the first time. You have to spend some time to remember. Adjective, bright, radiant. The effulgent lights of the festival lit up the sky. Effulgent means bright or radiant, goes with lights, lit up the sky. Let us go to, as I said, today I'm not showing you the editorial, but I hope you have read yesterday's editorial. And based on yesterday's editorial, which goes with a ban lifted by the Supreme Court regarding use of fireworks, not completely, partially, allowed use of green crackers, it is about that. Now we'll see the gist of the editorial. Editorial gist or theme. The editorial discusses the Supreme Court's recent decision to allow green crackers during Deepavali, partially lifting the ban on fireworks in Delhi, not completely, partially, and expose a conflict between. Editorial is all about the conflict between cultural traditions, economic livelihoods, and public health. Three things are there: cultural traditions, part of Hindu culture, Diwali celebrations. Second, economic livelihoods. Many people depend on the fireworks industries. Third one, public health, based on environmental pollution. What are the key points here? Legal shift. Supreme Court banned the use of fireworks in Delhi city way back in 2018. Since 2018, they haven't allowed use of fireworks, but for the first time there has been a shift in the stand taken by the Supreme Court. Legal shift. After years of a blanket ban, blanket means overall, general, and the court now permits green crackers, less polluting but not entirely safe. Green crackers are not zero emission products, but less harmful. Cultural and economic tension. Fireworks are deeply embedded in Indian festive culture and support many livelihoods. There are two tensions. One is cultural, the other one is economic, because it's a big industry, provides livelihood to many people. Environmental reality. Delhi's pollution crisis stem means to originate, come from, comes from multiple sources. It is not only because of fireworks. Other sources are there, and fireworks only one day phenomenon. But other sources round the clock, 365 days. What are the other sources? Vehicles, stubble burning seasonal, industry, etc. Not firecrackers alone. This is not the only source, other sources are there. Other key points, middle path. Why has the Supreme Court lifted the ban? And what is the middle path? Means between, in between, the solution. Green crackers represent a compromise between joy and responsibility. but are not a permanent solution. A writer takes a stand and says it is not a permanent solution. In a way, it is postponing the problem. Editorial stance. Any editorial has to take a stand and tell us the opinion. These are also known as opinion editorials. The writer urges science based, consistent environmental policy, not symbolic actions based on emotion or tradition. Solutions should be based on science and should be consistent with environmental policy, should be a permanent solution, not a temporary one, and should not be based on emotion or faith or tradition. How to read this passage or how to read this editorial? I have brought 10 points. What are the 10 points? First, you have to focus on detect the central conflict. What is this issue? This editorial has been written based on a particular issue, central issue. What is the issue? Idea. Identify the core tension or balancing act the editorial is built around. How do you find out? Editorial sentence. Green crackers are a compromise between joyful festivities and public health. Compromise between two things. One is public festivities, joyful festivities, and the other one, public health. What is the exam skill you need based on that sentence? This line tells us immediately there is a conflict between culture and environment. Why Diwali firecrackers in the limelight? There is a conflict. What is that conflict? Conflict between culture and environment. That you have to understand. The rest of the article will revolve around this balance. So note both sides, joyful celebration versus clean air. So there's an issue. What is the issue? One is joyful celebration, part of the festivities. Second, clean air, public health, environment, pollution. How the writer balances, you have to. This is the first point you have to focus on. Central conflict. Second point, I always I start with the word stimulus. Stimulus means the reason, the catalyst, the trigger to write this article. And here you have to spot the context and policy change. Why is this being discussed now? What is the reason to write this editorial? What is the reason behind? What is the stimulus? Here, editorial idea, recognize the trigger event or the stimulus event. What changed? What prompted this editorial? Something has changed. 2018, since then, ban on use of fireworks in Delhi. Now that has been changed. And the stand taken by the editorial. How do you know that? The Supreme Court, in an order this week, modified a ban it had sanctioned since 2018, allowing the use of green crackers during the festival. There's a change in the stand. That's why they had to write the editorial. Exam skill. In mains passages, such lines help you answer what led to this discussion, which event is being referenced. This shows cause or background. When they ask a question like this, it is trying to find out what is the reason behind writing this editorial. What is the background information? Coming to the third point, understand the writer's perspective, neutral, supportive, critical. Something happened. What happened? The Supreme Court has changed its stance, and based that is a stimulus, this has been written. When the writer or the editorial writes an article or an editorial, takes a particular stand. Now try to understand the writer's stand. Is it neutral, supportive, or critical? Idea. Identify whether the writer is supporting, questioning, or warning. What is the sentence for you to understand the writer's stand? While the decision comes with caveats on implementation, it underscores a continuous challenge authorities face. The writer takes a stand and says it is not a permanent solution. In a way, it is postponing the problem. Exam skill, the phrase comes with caveat, signals a balanced but slightly cautious tone. The author agrees partially but not fully. Comes with a condition means on the one hand the writer agrees, on the other hand not completely. So what is the tone? Balanced and cautionary. You have to understand. The next point, fourth one, identify socio-economic dimensions, hidden layer of reasoning. Socio-economic dimensions, that means culture and livelihoods. Idea is what? Detect when the author introduces economic or livelihood arguments to show policy complexity. The policy is not that simple. It is a complex thing. And the writer has to show us when he talks about the economic dimension, he is trying to tell us it is a complex issue. What is the sentence for you to identify that idea? The firecracker industry supports the livelihoods of lakhs of people, making economic considerations part of the regulatory landscape. When it comes to regulation, they have to keep in mind the livelihoods of lakhs of people because the firecracker industry offers millions of jobs. Lakhs of people depend on fireworks, firecrackers industry. And you all know the capital of firecracker industry, Shivakasi in Tamil Nadu. From there you get all the products, bulk, lion's share. What is the exam skill? This tells us the issue is not just moral or environmental, it is multidimensional. Initially, it looked like moral, cultural, or environmental, but it is multidimensional. Economic dimension has been involved. Expect questions like which factor adds complexity to the issue? Which factor adds complexity to the issue? The economic factor. So it is multi-dimensional problem. Many dimensions are there. Coming to the next one, spot broader environmental argument. Evidence-based reasoning. The writer tells us burning the fireworks not the only reason. Other reasons are there. Idea, find where the author shifts from emotion to data, logic, or science. Editorial sentence, multiple expert bodies have deployed science and widespread measurement to conclude that air quality is impacted by diverse sources. It is not the only source is not fireworks, firecrackers. Other sources, what are the other sources? Stubble burning, which is seasonal, and vehicular pollution, which is round the year, and also industries around the year. Scientific evidence shows that. What is the exam skill you should have? This helps you identify the factual scientific support behind the argument. Crucial for inference and tone questions. Is the argument based on emotion or reason? Obviously based on reason because scientific evidence is there. Next one, observe nuanced judgment, temporary versus permanent solutions. Usually editorials, the writers take a stand. Here judgment. Then you have to understand what exactly a writer's stand or judgment. And is it, does the writer think the solution is temporary or permanent? The writer thinks the solution is temporary. Allowing green crackers is a temporary solution in the opinion of the writer. Identify when the author accepts something conditionally. What is the editorial sentence? Allowing the use of scientifically developed green crackers is an effort to tolerate a temporary surge under controlled conditions. Temporary surge under controlled conditions. What are the conditions here? Allowing green crackers. What is the exam skill? This line shows conditional acceptance. Excuse me. A temporary compromise. In exam question, this often appears as which of the following best describes the author's attitude? Tolerant but cautious. A writer tolerates green crackers, accepts but cautious, says it is not a permanent solution. Detect subtle criticism, implied negatives. Writers always try to criticize and they try to point out. Here you have to catch those negative stand or comments. Look for words that show limitations, warnings, or incomplete solutions. How can you catch that? But while green crackers represent an improvement over conventional ones, they are not zero emission products. This is where the writer takes a stand and tells us green crackers are not a solution. They are like temporary and not permanent. And allowing green crackers is nothing but postponing the actual problem. This is implied criticism. Even though something is allowed, the author subtly reminds readers it is not a real fix, not a real solution. Nuance means subtle, slight. Such implied lines are frequent in inference questions. You have to be careful. Notice the writer's cautionary advice. Shift to moral, scientific appeal. A writer has to provide some sort of advice or solution. Identify when the tone turns from description to prescription. These words are very important. Usually, writers, what they do, if you take the body of an essay, introduction, body, and conclusion, and any editorial, first the stimulus, the problem, the reasons, and the solution. Usually, from description to prescription means the solution. Author's advice. What is a sentence that provides this glimpse? Governments and courts must be careful not to take the focus away from the need for public commitment to stricter environmental norms rooted in science and reason, not in hope and faith. Writer tells the solution should be based on science and reason, not based on hope and faith. What is the exam skill you can acquire here? This final statement reveals the author's stance. Decision is acceptable, but real reform needs science-based discipline. This is a main takeaway. Central idea often asked in bank mains RC. What is the central idea? What is the main theme? These are the questions you can expect. Identify the core message or takeaway. Condense the conclusion into one line. What does the author really want? There is no alternative to comprehensive, consistent action against all sources of pollution. If you want to find a solution, only one way you can find comprehensive, consistent action against all sources of pollution. That is the only way you can deal with pollution. There is a moral of the passage. The final answer to any question like, what is the author's main argument? Always underline the last line. That is where the Hindu editorials usually reveal their stand. Any essay, the last line, concluding sentence talks about the stand taken by the writer. Same stand they try to reiterate. And the last line of the editorial also talks about the same thing. Read between the lines, very important, the implied meaning. What is the hidden meaning? The writer accepts that green crackers are better than traditional ones, but implies that policymakers are settling for convenience, not real solutions. Implied message, we are calling it progress, but we are only postponing the problem. The writer says green crackers in a way progress, but people are saying that, but writer says it is not progress, we are only postponing the problem. What is the exam skill? This helps you answer inference questions such as, which of the following can be inferred from the passage? Or what can be inferred from the passage? Correct inference, the allowance of green crackers represents a short-term adjustment rather than a long-term environmental strategy. Allowing green crackers is not a long-term environmental strategy. It is a short-term adjustment. Now let us go to questions based on editorial, how to read the editorial, based on comprehension. What is the central theme of the editorial? Celebration of Indian festivals, economic contribution of the firecracker industry, balancing cultural tradition with environmental responsibility. Answer is C. What is the implied meaning of the line, they are not net zero, they are not zero emission products? Do not exist. Green crackers still cause some level of pollution. Answer is the second one. They are not zero emission products, they do cause some sort of pollution. B is the answer. Which of the following best describes the author's tone throughout the editorial? Not aggressive and accusatory, not sarcastic and humorous, not hopeful and romantic, balanced but cautionary. Balanced stand at the same time, cautionary. A word of caution. What is that caution? Green crackers are not a permanent solution. They are a temporary adjustment. And permanent solution, you have to use science-based reasoning. Only then you can get the permanent solution. Question number 4. What does the author imply by mentioning that multiple expert bodies have deployed science and widespread measurement? Exaggerate means increase, not correct, or amplify. Delhi's air pollution issue is being analyzed scientifically. Expert bodies are biased? No. Only firecrackers cause pollution? No. So what is the answer? The situation in Delhi is being analyzed scientifically. Yes, Manisha, B. The statement, this approach seeks to find a middle ground between honoring tradition and minimizing harm, reflects which type of reasoning? Honoring a middle path, honoring tradition and minimizing harm. Emotional reasoning? No. Ethical means value oriented. Emotional means subjective, not correct. And balanced pragmatic reasoning. Pragmatic, practical reasoning. Political reasoning? No. So what is the answer? C is the answer. That's all for today. It's a new approach, but usually I should have presented the editorial beforehand. If I continue with this approach, before I do the analysis, before this session, before 9 a.m., we will upload the PDF of today's editorial. Before you attend the session, you read the editorial and attend the session. Then you can relate to whatever I say. That will help in the real sense, because mains is all about reading comprehension skill. Reading comprehension skill, there are two levels. One is a lower level, only comprehension. You understand what the writer has written. Higher level, it is analytical reading. Analytical reading goes more with mains. Mains is all about analytical reading. Simply trying to read, trying to understand will not take you anywhere. But this sort of approach will definitely raise your standards. You will be able to deal with these questions effortlessly. Manisha says, yes, from tomorrow, if this, please give your feedback after the session. If many students like this approach, we'll continue with this. Extremely useful from mains point of view. But before the analysis, we'll upload the PDF, editorial PDF. You read that and join the session. That will help. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.